Alright guys, so here's the deal. I got a BFL tournament at Lake St. Clair this weekend. I'm going over to my dad's to get my rods out of my boat, put it in my Cal Coast rod mule to get everything going on and get ready to go, get my 100-mile-per-hour suit in case it rains, all that stuff. One thing that I've never talked about is, what to expect when you're fishing your very first bigger level tournament, whether that be a BFL or a Toyota series or on the bass side of things, a bass open. As a co-angler, what do you expect? What is expected of you, and what you should know that's going to happen, and what you should pack along with you. So we're gonna look at that today. We're gonna get my rods, talk about what you should expect fishing your very first bigger tournament.
You gotta get your arms way up in a cat and set the hook on smallmouth bass, and then you'll understand. You gotta get your hands on a Shimano reel and a G-Loomis rod. I bet you like what you feel. Step on the deck, give it a whirl. Hello and welcome to my world.
What to expect fishing your first big level tournament, such as a BFL or something like that. Sorry about the dogs barking here, but I'm up here grabbing the stuff. Actually gonna get stung by a wasp apparently. But up here, getting the stuff out of my boat. Got all my rods and stuff here stored at my dad's house in the garage. But as I'm tying some baits on here, I'm gonna talk to you guys about what to expect when you're fishing your first, what I call pro level tournament, which is again, BFLs, Toyota series on the FLW, a lot of stuff like that. So first and foremost, one of the things that you have to understand that when you're fishing these things, or you're very first getting into this thing, is don't be scared to join them. You don't have to be the most outstanding angler on the planet to join, one of these tournaments. As a matter of fact, I encourage you to. There's a lot of things that you need to plan for and plan ahead for, and we're going to talk about those today on this video. Fishing your very first pro level tournament, what to expect. When I say pro level tournament, I'm talking about a BFL. Again, in my opinion, is a pro level tournament. Let's see, you have the Toyota series, obviously, and this video is going to be looking at the co-angler side of things. Obviously, seeing things from a boater's perspective is fairly the same, but I'm going to talk about my experiences here as a co-angler and what you should expect to see, or what you should expect to experience during that first tournament that you may join. And first and foremost, the thing that I want you to be aware of is that in these tournaments, it's best to have a link, or have a guaranteed linked boater. Kyle and I do that. I link with him, and what that does is, how these tournaments work, guys, is you basically are random draw to fish with somebody. It's very, it's not, the odds are stacked against you to fish with your buddy. Like for example, me and Kyle, we do what's known as linking together. So when we register for the FLW tournament, we actually put our FLW numbers in the registration form together. That guarantees me a spot as a co-angler to fish. So if I didn't have a link, I would just put my name in a hat, and as boaters would come in, basically there's a list. So there's like 100 boaters and 110 co-anglers. What happens is when the boat 101 joins, that co-angler 101 gets a spot to fish. If you have a guaranteed link, then that gives you the opportunity to make sure that you get a fish. Sometimes there's not the opportunity for you to do that, but find a link, and there are Facebook groups out there looking for links. Get a hold of me if you're in my area fishing the Michigan BFLs or the Buckeye series, and I could probably put you in contact with somebody that you can link with. So that's number one. Find yourself a link for a boater. That will guarantee you have a spot to fish, and it will guarantee that you get the ability to fish that tournament, because you're not guaranteed if you don't have a link. Next piece of advice, after finding somebody to link with, is that learn how to pack gear that you're guaranteed to use. If you pack 10 rods with you, keep in mind you're fishing out of somebody else's boat, somebody that you're probably not going to know before this, and you have a limited amount of space. Normally, but to the left-hand side of the passenger seat is where you keep your rods. So, you know, 5, 6, 7 rods is probably the max I'm ever going to take. 7 rods. I like to keep it from 5 to 6. If I'm fishing with Kyle, I take a ton more because I have more opportunities to sit on the front deck with him and things. But learn how to pack as a co-angler. I do have a video about what I've packed as a co-angler before. My favorite thing is to figure out where I'm going to be fishing. Obviously, I'm going to be going to St. Clair this weekend. So I'm going to be packing a lot of spinning rods and spinning gear because that's what I'm mostly going to be fishing up there. I'm not going to take any topwater rods. I've never thrown a topwater rod at St. Clair. So there's, you know, pack the gear for the area and the lake that you're fishing. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3 is that, again, this is a great way to make new friends fishing out of people's boats, because what happens is you do a random draw. It's computer generated. You have a computer generated draw that basically allows you as a fisherman to get drawn into somebody else's boat to fish. You're not going to know them. However, there is a pre-tournament meeting that happens before every BFL or every FLW tournament. And what happens is when you go to that tournament meeting, they talk about all the rules, tell you all the stuff that's off limits. They tell you everything that's that you can and can't do. And then they send out a mass text message to everybody that's either there or not there that's registered to fish the tournament. And it shows who you linked with and who you're going to be fishing with. You know, give them a call. If they're not there, find out if they're there, meet up with them, talk to them. And here's the deal, guys. They're the ones that are finding the spots. You're fishing their spots. But the thing about it is that you should, you know, have a conversation with them. I always do. My first thing is ask, hey guy, you know, hey man, my name's Tyler. Thanks for letting me fish with you. I think we're gonna have a good time. Can you give me any pointers of what you think we'll be doing in the morning, because I want to tie some baits. Some people will tell you straight up, yeah, we're going to be throwing drop shots on rock piles, or we may be doing or throwing crankbaits or whatever. It gives you the opportunity as a co-angler to get ready for the style of fishing that they're going to be doing. For example, one of the things there that you have to keep in mind is that if I have a bunch of bottom contact baits here tied onto my rods and we go out there and we're cranking or throwing topwater in the first of the morning, you as a co-angler are going to be put at a disadvantage because you're going to have to retie all of your baits immediately. So give yourself a better advantage by asking your boater, say, hey man, can you give me some information about what we're going to be doing today? I've had it both ways. I've had some people that are very giving with information, and they'll tell you right up front. And I've had some people say, nope, I'm sorry, you'll find out tomorrow. It is what it is. You're fishing with people. We're all humans. We all have our own way of doing things. But that's the thing. You're going to learn to meet new people. You're going to learn to fish different ways, and you're going to learn to communicate with people a little bit better fishing these tournaments. A couple of things that you're going to want to pack with you, obviously your rod reels and your gear. I always pack my own life jacket. That's going to be a must for me. I pack a life jacket that I know is comfortable for me, it's fit for me, and I know that it's going to work. You know, that's something else you can ask them when you talk to them. Hey, do you have this? Do you have this equipment? If you don't have one, 99% of the time they're going to say yes. The only time I ran into it was with a guy. Luckily, I had mine. I was walking to the dock. He called me and he's like, hey man, I forgot a secondary life jacket. I hope you have one. And luckily I did. So pack a life jacket, pack gear that you know you're going to use, and don't overpack. Another tip. There's kind of an unspoken or unwritten rule that you as a co-angler should help the boater out with a little bit of fuel money at the end of it. Again, that's not something that a boater is going to tell you. They're not going to say, hey, you owe me 50 bucks for fuel. You're never going to have somebody do that to you. That's just the plain and simple things of it. However, if you own a boat and you are a boater for other tournaments, you know that fuel is not cheap, and you also know that fuel is not free. Another thing you have to keep in mind is they're paying usually a really big price for their boats. 70 to 90,000 bucks, a lot of the newer ones, and wear and tear on those boats do take a toll over time. So how much is too little, how much is too much? That's totally up to you and what you can afford. Depending, I kind of judge it on how far we're running as far as like the tournament, because you'll be on the boat, obviously you know how far that you're going to be running throughout the day. And for example, if I know that we're doing a lot of running and we're burning a lot of fuel to find some fish, I will, take that into consideration and do a little bit of, on the fly math. Normally, it's anywhere from $30 to $50 I give a boater in fuel money and basically renting their gear, letting me use their boat and their technology. So that's, again, be prepared. And it's, it's not a rule on FLW. It's not a make or break situation. If you don't pay your co-angler, your boater, are they going to get ticked off? Probably. But that's one thing that you have to keep in mind, is that those boaters are putting a lot of money out there to do that. Obviously they want to, because they're doing it, but it is a very nice thing if you throw a few dollars out there to help them out with fuel and cost of running the boat. One of the questions I get asked a lot is, do you ever have a bad experience with boaters? The answer to that question is yes. There's been a couple times I've had a really bad experience with some boaters. That just comes with the territory, guys. Again, we're talking about human beings here. Everybody on the planet, including me at times, can be kind of overbearing. So you have to kind of take that with a grain of salt and figure out what you can't let one experience change your whole attitude about fishing a tournament series. I've met some friends that I'll be lifelong friends with because I've been fishing out of their boat, or I've fished out of their boat. I've also learned so much from boaters that I've been in these tournaments with. I've learned so many new techniques, and I've become a very, very much better angler because of it. So you cannot let one bad experience affect the way you look at the tournament series as a whole. It never fails that you're always going to have a bad experience no matter what you go at. I've had way more positive experiences fishing the BFLs in these pro level tournaments than I have negative. We'll say that. We'll say it's a 1 to 10 ratio probably, or 1 to 20 ratio, bad to good. So, get out there and try it, guys. It's an experience that I think everybody, especially that's in the bass angling world, that is competitive in it, you should try it as a co-angler. Even if you don't have a boat, go out, try to fish with, as a co-angler. And again, you don't need any you don't have to be accepted into this, club. How to join an FLW tournament is very, very simple. You have to become an FLW member. And this year I noticed that they tried to throw in some kind of crazy, subscription for me. It was like some kind of like Dill-O-Rama stuff. I'm saying that tongue-in-cheek because that's not what it was called, but it was some kind of like bargain bin type deal where they were going to give you access to like the ability to get a lot of discounts and stuff, and if that's for you, that's great. It was like $75 a year when it's normally like $50 a year. So you have to join FLW as a member, and you cannot do just the subscriber one. You have to have tournament eligibility, which starts at the competitor and goes up to that upper level one, depends on what you want to do. Then you're going to go on and do online registration. You can also call them at the number and register. And then all the information is online, and then it'll tell you when the tournament is. The pre-tournament meeting's usually the day before, 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, and it's good. Definitely, if you've, it's recommended that if you've never been to a tournament like that, definitely go to that pre-tournament meeting so you know the rules. You can meet your boater face to face, and you know who you're looking for, and you can have a conversation with them, find out what kind of boat they're in, so you can see them the next day. Another thing that you're probably going to want to do is be sure that you are knowledgeable about backing a boat into the water and parking a trailer. That's one of the things that I see a lot of people get very frustrated with, is that we're putting in 200 plus boats, or sometimes 200 boats, at least 100 most of these tournaments I'm fishing, and there's only a certain amount of spots for the boat, so you have to get creative to park that thing every now and again. So be able to back the trailer and park it. And then, again, guys, at the end of the tournament, once you fish, have a great time, catch them up, hopefully you win. But if not, be sure to throw your boater some cash for for the hassle of using their boat and some fuel. And then, like I said, you'll have a positive experience. I'm almost 100% positive you will, and you'll be ready to go for the next one. So it's a great time. I encourage you to go out and do it. But that's just what to expect a little bit as a first-time co-angler in a quote-unquote pro style or pro level tournament. So if this helps you out, guys, get out there, register for some BFLs, register for some bigger tournaments, and put your skills to some of these bigger tournaments to see what happens, guys. You may just surprise yourself. So we'll see you out there on the water. I hope this episode of On Another Line helps you out. Maybe I'll see you at the next BFL that I fish. See y'all.